I haven't heard that analogy, but I would say companies like Vassell want to be the YouTube for software engineering. YouTube as being like, it's not replacing your feature films. It's not replacing those blockbusters that making 100 million every single year. But it is replacing, a lot of these amazing content, which is short, well, not necessarily short, made by different people from different walks of life, different opinions, different quality levels.
Chris just struck on something interesting. YouTube didn't kill Hollywood. It created a new world of content that just couldn't exist before. The economics didn't work. You couldn't justify a $50,000 production for a 10-minute product review. But when production costs dropped to near zero, suddenly millions of niche creators found their audience. Now, apply that logic to software. There are thousands of business problems just too small to justify a $500,000 project, a dental practice scheduler, or a food truck inventory tracker. These aren't replacing SAP or Salesforce. They're the YouTube clips of software. They're quick, specific, good enough, and previously impossible.
And I think what YouTube ultimately did for us is gave us a whole other medium to consume that we weren't consuming previously. It allows us to look at, I'm a sucker for watching what people eat. So I'm happy to go on Instagram or Reels or whatever it is, right? And look at this person is over in Vietnam and look at the food they're eating. This wasn't something that I could have consumed in the 90s. We're watching that media. So I think very interesting when you start to talk about if we can do this stuff faster, if we can unlock these different contents, what happens? Is there another type of software that exists in 1, 2, 3 years? Like if you look at who does this in a business now, I don't believe that this would be a designer. You could design all these in Figma. Maybe you have designed them in Figma previously and you attach them and you paste that in as well because this accepts visual content too. I'm not sure who does it. Is it a developer? Is it a product owner? I would say it could be any of those roles who does this step if they would like to. Because this actually works, right?
Let's be specific about what vibe coding means. Chris runs events in Melbourne where people build functional clone of successful companies in hours, not months. Linktree clone, done in an evening. Medical website built during the panel discussion itself. And this isn't hypothetical, it's happening. And when these tools hit their limits, an entire service industry to extend those limits emerges. Chris mentioned a friend who started a vibe coding repair agency, fixing what happens when AI-generated code breaks. That's a business category that didn't exist 6 months ago.
I also know people who built startups on the back of these tools and got funded from just building a great MVP, right? We're a SOC 2 certified company, so we have to go through all those stringent privacy and security audits. But it's a really good point because one of our first customers was like a global software consultancy, Infosys. Nowadays, I spend a lot of my week talking to companies about security and privacy and filling out those security questionnaires because they want to use the system, but they need to understand that we have all these checks and balances.
And here's what makes this moment different from previous democratization promises. It's not just about easier tools. It's about the entire stack becoming accessible. Chris's platform makes 5,000 AI interactions to generate 70 features. That's 5,000 prompts a solo founder doesn't have to write. The complexity hasn't disappeared. It's moved. When Chris says his software helps companies go from 0 to 80% in hours, that remaining 20%, that's where the professional developers are now focusing. The mundane is automated, but the critical, that remains human.
It's fun. I like it. Well, there's no other time, there's no other point in the history of time where this was possible, which I think is what I find most interesting about working in a domain like this. I actually got a friend who has a company that is based on helping people when they get to the point where V0 or Lovable, they can't do it anymore. It's breaking and they need someone's help. So they've made like a vibe coding repair agency, which is very interesting. I think the moat now, or the defensible, your defensibility as a business in playing in the AI space is around a few points, which is like user interaction, user interface, ease of usability, making it appear simple, just making the speed of movement very fast. If Microsoft Excel is a database, there's been hundreds of thousands of pieces of amazing software that are built on top of that as a layer.
The YouTube analogy reveals something crucial. We're not watching the death of enterprise software or the end of professional development. We're witnessing the birth of a new category. Just as YouTube created genres that TV never imagined, AI will create software that solves problems we never thought worth solving. These aren't inferior versions of enterprise systems. They're the first generation of clip software, quick to build, specific in purpose, and for the first time, economically viable. The question is as much about what is beginning as what is ending.